Hello, I'm Mike Bain from Christian Voice New Zealand. Now, recently I came across the following interview that we're going to play between two presenters of GBN News and the former chaplain to the late Queen Elizabeth II, Dr. Gavin Ashenden. In this interview, Dr. Ashenden discusses the thoughts of the future King, Prince William, and his reluctance to remain the head of the Church of England, and just how that will impact both the Church and the monarchy going forward. Now, later in the interview, he's also asked for his comments regarding the muscular Islamification of the United Kingdom. On both subjects, I feel Dr. Ashenden is correct and could not explain them and really the world's situation any better.
Is Prince William going to make history by becoming the first British monarch since Henry VIII to break official ties with the Church of England by not being its head?
That's right. William attends services at significant times of the year, such as Christmas and Easter, but he's not a regular churchgoer.
We're joined now to former chaplain to Queen Elizabeth II, Dr. Gavin Ashenden. Dr. Ashenden, morning to you. Now, this has come out of Robert Hardman's excellent book on the monarchy. He, as you know, he's got impeccable royal sources, and he says William doesn't feel close to the church. He doesn't have the same faith as either his father or his grandmother, and therefore he may not take on that role as effectively governor of the Church of England. What do you make of that?
I think it's very interesting, and it's almost certainly true. William doesn't show any signs of being alive to the vibrancy of Christian faith. And in that sense, he's very representative of his generation. But I don't think he understands the monarchy because although lots of people have talked about disestablishing the Church of England and changing our constitutional arrangements, they're immensely complex and they go back through 500 years of legislation. What we could do is have a referendum and have a republic and start all over again. Lots of countries do that. But unpicking and unwinding our present arrangements are simply beyond the scope of our resources. It would take an army of lawyers 10 years to do it. So I think he either has to accept the fact that this is a role he plays, whether he likes it or not, which is part actually of the burden of monarchy, or if he feels that strongly and he can't do it, then step aside and abdicate and see if there's somebody else in the royal succession who can.
He's reflecting the public view, isn't he, Dr. Ashenden, because so few people now go to church, particularly people of Prince William's age. Isn't that more a reflection on how the church has so manifestly failed?
Oh, well, it's failed in this country, absolutely, but it's immense. It's growing like wildfire in other parts of the world. It's just that secular Europe has lost the faith and is replacing it effectively with wokery, if you like. So it's hard to know how much the church has failed and how much the people don't want something that disturbs our enjoyment of life. When people come close to death, suddenly it looks a bit different. But it's certainly true that he's reflecting a discomfort with Christianity in Europe. But I think that's to his loss and our loss. I don't think it's a virtue. I mean, not knowing what you're doing here as a human being is not a strength of character.
Dr. Ashenden, one religion which is not failing to make moves in this country, make waves in this country actually, is Islam. And we've got a case in the High Court this week of a head teacher who's been taken to court because the Muslim pupils want her to provide a space that they can pray. Where would you sit on that debate? Do you think that those Muslim children should be given a space to pray in that school?
I'd go back further and talk about the equalities legislation that we face. The problem is it's a secular and blunt instrument, and it treats all religion as though they're the same, but they're not at all the same. I mean, for example, when Christians try and pray in this country on the pavements near abortion clinics, they get arrested, even though they're praying quietly and silently. But when Muslims want to pray, they block the streets outside Downing Street and pray in great numbers in public, and they're praised as a civic virtue. I think that the headmistress in this particular case has decided that public displays of spirituality by Muslims are not unconnected with an element of the display of power and influence in society. That's how Islam uses its prayer often in public. So it's So when Muslims pray, it's different from when Jews pray, it's different from when Christians pray. We should treat them on their merits. If the headmistress in this case thinks it's producing a degree of social disruption, I think she's perfectly entitled to want to run a school without social disruption. We can all pray privately in our homes, as most of us, those of us who pray, do anyway.
And the school is in London, which is one of the most diverse parts of the country. If she agreed to give a prayer room for the Muslims, then if you've got Jewish children in that school or Hindu children in that school, can they have a temple, please? Can they have a mini synagogue? Where does it end?
I think it's worse than that. I mean, you're right. That's the first argument. But the next argument is, what's it being used for? The difficulty I have with Islam, I mean, Islam is a very muscular religion. It's spreading, as you quite rightly say, like wildfire. We've seen the effect on the streets during the demonstrations about Gaza. Islam is not shy, and it's very capable of exercising all its rights. I'm afraid, I think in a school context, this quest to give Islam a particular public place in the life of the school actually is detrimental to other religions. I mean, for example, the arguments in the High Court are that Muslim students feel ashamed of being a Muslim in the school. Actually, if I was a Jew in that school, I'd feel rather threatened by displays of public Islamic spirituality. So I think we have to ignore the equalities legislation which binds us, if only we could, and actually come to decisions based on the merits of each case. And in this particular case, I don't think that the people pushing the Islamic rights of the school are justified.
Do you think that's something that you can freely say anywhere, Gavin? I think it is a controversial thing to say. Well, we're pleased that you can say it here, because above all else, this channel is about free speech and having the difficult conversations. If you were doing an interview on, say, the BBC, would you find that a difficult position to take?
It's not allowed. We can't say it. I mean, actually, I have quite a lot of experience. I taught Islam at one of our universities. I was part of a multi-faith team which I ran. I'm really quite well informed. But if I explain, for example, that my Muslim friends say that they came to this country with the explicit intention of, within 2 generations, of making it the Islamic Republic of Great Britain, that's what they told me, I'd be accused of being Islamophobic. But Islam tells us that's what it wants to do. The Islamification of the whole of Europe is underway. What's absolutely crazy is that the rest of us aren't allowed to talk about it, or even say, as a Christian, I'd like to say, you know, if you're going to choose a religion, here's why I think Jesus is more attractive than Muhammad, and give some very cogent reasons for it. But you're not allowed even to have the conversation in public, lest, in terms of equalities legislation, you're thought to be being closed-minded about the virtues of what they present. Actually, what we should be being is open-minded and talking about it so that we can evaluate it. And then those who want to be Muslims, let them be so. But we must have a public discussion about the virtues of different religions.
And let's find ways of bringing people together rather than apart.
And of course, you make the book, you can always do it here, Dr. Ashenden, which is why we love having you on.
Congratulations to be news. Absolutely. Thank you.
Very kind. Dr. Gavin Ashenden, who was, of course, chaplain to Her Majesty the Queen, who I think would be very upset to think her grandson would not want to carry on in that role, which he performed with distinction. But he is a man of a different generation, and he reflects, I think, what most people think today about the modern church.
Intriguing interview, eh? Well, we welcome your thoughts and comments in the space provided below. Thanks for watching, and if you want to see more, just hit the subscribe button. And if you want to find out more about what we do and how you can support us, just visit our website, christianvoicenewzealand.com.